The Fox 25 Primetime News at 9 starts right now.
Right now, we are tracking a possibility of winter weather this weekend. We've got your back with our chances for some snow.
And another government shutdown is looking more and more likely. In fact, here's a live look at the president's Twitter account tonight, where he said just a few hours ago, time to end the visa lottery. Congress must secure the immigration system and protect Americans.
Fox 25's Jennifer Falsetti has been following this closely from the live desk tonight. Jennifer, what's the latest?
Yeah, Mike and Wendy, right now things are quiet on the Senate floor. They are planning a vote tonight, but not until several hours past the deadline to pass this spending bill without going into a government shutdown. They have about 2 hours to go before the government shutdown. Both the House and Senate, they are planning to vote on a 2-year spending deal, but not until after the deadline at 1 a.m. The Senate will vote to end debate on the budget deal. Now, if that gets 60 votes, Senator Rand Paul will have the option of taking another hour of floor time. Then at about 2 a.m., the Senate will vote on the substitute for their budget deal. The House will then meet around 2 a.m. to then vote. The deadline, of course, is midnight Eastern time, so this will be at least several hours past that if any budget deal does get passed in the early morning hours. The deal in question would fund the federal government for the next 2 years and increase military spending by about $300 billion. Now, there is no word on whether DACA will be funded under this plan, which is why there is uncertainty among House Democrats. It is uncertain right now whether or not that 2-year spending plan will pass the House. We're also following some breaking news right here in the Oklahoma City metro. This is in northwest Oklahoma City, where fire crews battled a house fire near Northwest 20th in May. A UPS driver was the one passing by and actually saw the flames. The driver stopped, knocked on the door of a neighbor's house to call 911. Fire crews say they saw flames from a block away. Now, no one was home at the time of this fire and no one was injured. No word on a cause, but the home suffered about $30,000 in damages. We'll keep a very close eye on both of these stories for you right here at the live desk.
Jennifer, thank you. This is a live look outside Oklahoma City tonight, where things are feeling nice, but that's not going to be the story this weekend.
Fox 25 Chief Meteorologist Jeff George has got your back with when things will be cooling down. Jeff.
Good evening, everyone. Things will start cooling off for Oklahoma as soon as tomorrow, because our next weather maker is really not too far away. It's heading into Kansas right now, and behind this thing, we do have some snow, sleet, and ice that will move into Oklahoma this weekend, and it will be cold and windy, noticeably cold and windy, and it's really going to be the temperatures and the strong winds that will mostly affect your outdoor plans this weekend. And that front moves into northern Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon, so look how much cooler it's going to be for you folks up north. In the 40s and 50s, central and south to include Oklahoma City, we're still going to be sitting pretty in the 60s. But those 60s and those 50s quickly go away, because we will spend most of this weekend below freezing, especially on Saturday morning. And if you didn't notice, no precipitation tomorrow afternoon and evening. That comes in overnight tomorrow night into the early parts of Saturday. A light winter mix and maybe some rain down south. So here's how it's going to play out. Southwest into central Oklahoma, a light mix of freezing drizzle and sleet. This is through Saturday morning, and a light dusting of snow northwest and north central Oklahoma. Some plain old rain to the east and to the southeast as we go into Saturday afternoon. Whatever precipitation is out there will head east of I-35, and it'll keep on trucking east on Saturday evening. So as of right now, unless we get more moisture with this system, we're only talking about a glaze of ice. That could cause some tricky travel as we do start off the weekend, maybe a little more icing east and southeast. So overall, a low impact event with the precipitation on Sunday, northwest and southeast. That's where all the precipitation will be, light snow northwest. 36 tonight, cold but not freezing, and a mostly fine Friday, a cold and windy weekend. I think that'll be the most memorable thing that happens, and a spring fling next week. Your Storm Watch 7-day real soon.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's take you live now to Puerto Rico, where thousands more hurricane victims have power tonight, and it's thanks to the help of some Oklahomans. This is a live look in the city of Juan Sanchez. Here's a live look at OG&E's Twitter page right now, where they just posted a few hours ago that more crews will begin work there tomorrow morning. In the meantime, 50 OG&E line crew members are back home tonight after spending the past 20 days in Puerto Rico working to restore power on that island. 50 other crew members left Oklahoma this morning to take their turn. Fox 25's Caroline Vandergriff is live at Will Rogers World Airport with more on their efforts in Puerto Rico. Caroline.
Well, those linemen landed here just about 2 hours ago. They've been in Puerto Rico since January 20th, so they were obviously pretty anxious to get home, but all of them volunteered to go over there and help. And we talked to one supervisor who said the experience on the ground was unforgettable. 50 OG&E crew members finally home in Oklahoma after weeks in Puerto Rico.
It was a very humbling experience. You know, we were there for 20 days and we got lights on every day that we worked over there, so it was great to help people.
They joined crews from across the U.S. to help restore power to the hurricane-ravaged island. According to recent reports, about 30% of Puerto Rico is still without power.
A lot of damage and there's still a lot of work to do, but our guys did a good job and we accomplished what we went there to do.
Crews replaced power poles and put up transformers, in turn transforming the lives of many Puerto Ricans.
You know, people were dancing and singing, and then some people were crying. They're just, you know, being out of power for over 4 months is a long time. So.
There's still a lot of work to be done, and a second wave of OG&E crews is there now to help do it.
It's what we do here in Oklahoma. It's kind of the Oklahoma standard and the OG&E standard. We just like to help people.
Now, that second wave of crews is actually already in Puerto Rico right now. They'll get their assignments tomorrow and spend the next 20 days there helping restore power. Mike and Wendy.
Caroline, thank you. Nearly 500,000 customers remain without power 4 months after Hurricane Maria. Thousands still await government-issued tarps as temporary replacements to roofs blown away by that storm. And more than 170 displaced residents remain in shelters across the island, while nearly 900 others have been temporarily put up in hotels by FEMA. We've got your back with how to help. Here's a live look at the Red Cross donation site specifically for Maria relief. We've got this link for you on our website at okcfox.com.
Happening right now, 129 people have died in Oklahoma alone because of the flu. The state health department released the latest flu data today. There have been 4 more deaths since last week's report. That number, one shy of our worst flu season ever. Since September, 3,000 people have been hospitalized for the flu. And while those numbers keep ticking up, you can see live right here, week to week, Oklahoma is seeing a decline in flu cases. And that could mean we're past the peak. Still, don't let your guard down. Fox 25's Jordan Lucero asked the experts and found out you can get the flu twice in 1 year. Jordan?
Maybe you've had the flu, you thought you're past it, you may want to get a vaccine anyway because it is possible to get it again.
The word epidemiologist Eric Howard uses to describe this flu season? Rough. We're nearing record numbers in Oklahoma. While there are signs this season may be slowing down,
it's just now this week that we're starting to see a small, hopefully a continued decrease in cases reported each week.
It's not done yet. Flu season can last months longer. That means you can still get the virus. That goes for people who've already had it.
There are many different strains of the flu. And so just because you've had an infection of flu like type A, the H3N2, which is the predominant strain early on this season, doesn't mean that you can't be infected with a different strain after that.
You can get the flu twice. Howard says strain A is what's hitting hard right now. He says strain B will often sneak in during the last half of the season, so you need to be careful.
Just because you've had the flu once this season doesn't mean that your job's over, right?
Everyone needs to wash their hands often, cover their coughs, stay away from people who are sick, and keep away if you're sick. And yes, even if you've already had the flu, you should get a flu shot if you haven't already.
Oklahoma City County Health still has plenty of flu vaccines. You can get them at all 3 of their locations, which are located throughout the city. They're listed right here behind me. They won't turn you away if you're not a resident, and they won't turn you away if you don't have any way to pay. Wendy.
Jordan, thank you. And flu can be especially hard on people older than 65, children and pregnant women. You need to be especially careful not to pass the virus to them, and they should get vaccinated. We have the locations for those 3 county health departments where you can get a shot on our website, okcfox.com. And Mike, I understand you have some advice on what people should do if they start feeling those symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a little research on why it's so difficult to get into a doctor right now. And emergency rooms around the country are crowded with flu patients, but if you catch the flu, Do you really need to go to the ER? Well, doctors say while most patients with the flu will recover on their own, in some cases the flu can be life-threatening. So it's very important to know how to recognize the signs of a flu emergency. At many clinics around the nation, the time to see a doctor has been about a 15-minute to an hour wait. But if you go to the ER, that can be a lot longer.
Probably the worst thing, or the most time-consuming option, is actually going to the emergency room. And we have a couple of fill-in people who work at the emergency rooms, and they're telling us that they're being just inundated.
Now, experts advise if you have any symptoms like shortness of breath or chest pain, you need to head to the ER. But if you have common symptoms, you may be better off at an urgent care or a minute clinic. Also, if you're heading to the clinic instead of your primary care provider, make sure that you have your medical records, your insurance cards, and the prescriptions that you are currently taking. We've got your back with a breaking news update for you now. All lanes of I-35 are back open tonight after several grass fires closed a few lanes in Edmond. Firefighters battled the flames near Waterloo this afternoon. Now, there was a second fire near Seaward Road as well. OHP narrowed southbound I-35 to one lane because of the smoke, but they are all back open now.
Just into our newsroom, the funeral for a fallen officer will be Monday morning. The memorial for Garrett Condit will be at 10 a.m. at the Asher Gym. It is open to the public. The Shawnee community came together today to honor Condit. This is an escort that happened this morning. He was killed after he lost control of his patrol car on US 177 Tuesday night. More than half a dozen departments were there to pay their respects.
We want to come together, and we want to show solidarity among the departments, and be there for each other and be there for his family. When we see his family over here and they're grieving, it touches all of us.
Condit worked a full-time job, but also volunteered as a reserve police officer and firefighter for the town of Asher.
We all know when this comes up on Monday, it's not going to pass.
And less than a week into the legislative session, a possible budget agreement is now in the works. The House Joint Committee in Appropriations and Budget passed House Bill 1033 today. This is a part of the revenue package that's been dubbed Step Up Oklahoma. It's endorsed by a group of civic and business leaders. The bill calls for raising taxes on tobacco products, oil and gas, and wind energy. Representative Eric Proctor voiced opposition to the bill.
I think that, unfortunately, due to a lack of compromise, we're going to be spinning our wheels again next week and going to be back to square one.
That bill is slated to bring in an additional $20 million in fiscal year 2018 and $581 million in 2019. A bill that will raise teacher pay by $5,000 also passed. And a bill changing the structure of the income tax passed as well. This is expected to bring in $131 million in revenue. All right, coming up only on Fox 25, we introduce you to the new technology that can make almost any room in your house a safe haven from tornadoes.
Plus, our own Myron Patton breaks down what the upcoming NBA trade deadline means for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And coming up on the Primetime News at 9, of course, Valentine's Day right around the corner. How to pick out the perfect roses. We're talking to a master florist who has all the answers so that you will pick out the absolute best for your little honey bunny. And you can be a bear of a good time. You can barely handle it. All that's coming up on the Primetime News at 9. See, there's a bear. Get it? There's a bear.
We're following some breaking news out of California right now. That is where a massive fire has erupted at a mansion in Bel Air. Take a look at that. Those flames have been going now for several hours. We know about 80 fire crews or fire officials are on scene. There are reports of at least one injury. Details are limited at this time, but you can see just how giant that fire is right there. Once we learn more details, we'll have those for you here at the live desk. We're also following the possibility of another government shutdown. You're looking live now at the Senate floor. This is where senators are beginning their discussion, many of them growing frustrated, blaming Kentucky Senator Rand Paul for possibly causing a government shutdown. Now, they will not be voting until about 1 in the morning, which is past the deadline. The deadline is midnight Eastern time before a government shutdown when the current spending plan runs out. They're going to be debating, then voting on a 2-year spending deal before it goes to the House. The House also expected to vote around 2 o'clock this morning. No word on whether or not the House has enough support to pass that 2-year plan and whether or not we could go back into a government shutdown. We'll be watching it very closely for you right here at the live desk.
Jennifer, thank you. In political news, for all the debate over the GOP memo pointing to alleged misconduct by some current and former FBI and DOJ officials, one crucial detail has not received much attention, and it relates in an unexpected way to special counsel Robert Mueller. Full Measure's Cheryl Atkinson explains for us. This is only on Fox 25.
If the FBI wants to spy on a U.S. citizen, there are strict rules requiring that every fact presented to a judge must be extreme vetted for accuracy and presented to the court only if verified. There's no dispute that at least some, if not a great deal, of information in the anti-Trump Steele dossier was unverified or false. Former FBI Director James Comey testified as much himself before a Senate committee last June. Comey repeatedly referred to salacious and unverified material in the dossier, which turned out to be paid political opposition research against Donald Trump. Presentation of any such unverified material to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court to justify a wiretap would appear to violate crucial FBI rules called Woods procedures designed to protect U.S. citizens. Yet Comey, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, former Attorney General Sally Yates, and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein each reportedly signed at least one application to wiretap a former Trump campaign advisor. Woods procedures were enacted in 2001 to ensure accuracy with regard to the facts supporting probable cause. This after recurring instances, presumably inadvertent, in which the FBI had presented inaccurate information to the FISA court. The FBI's multi-layered review requires approval through the FBI chain of command and is designed to prevent any unverified information, even a single fact, from ever reaching the court. In November 2002, the FBI implemented an additional check, a special FISA unit with a unit chief and 6 staffers. All of this information was provided to Congress in 2003. The FBI director at the time also ordered that any issue as to whether a FISA application for a wiretap was factually sufficient was to be brought to his attention personally. Who was director of the FBI when all of this careful work was done? The current special counsel investigating Trump-Russia ties, Robert Mueller. Woods procedures aren't arcane rules that could have been overlooked or misunderstood by the seasoned professionals working under the Obama and Trump administrations who touched the 4 wiretap applications and renewals. In the past, when the FBI has presented inaccuracies to the FISA court, it's been viewed so seriously that it's drawn the attention of the Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility, which investigates Justice Department attorneys accused of misconduct or crimes in their professional functions. I'm Cheryl Atkinson reporting.
Coming up, an arrest warrant issued for a Wynnewood police officer, why he's now wanted by law enforcement.
And dramatic moments as a Metro man tries to stop a burglar in the act. What he did in a brazen attempt to stop a thief.
And very chilly but bearable for the kids at the bus stop in the morning. Temperatures somewhere in the 30s, partly cloudy skies, but way windier and colder this weekend. But wait to see how fast we warm up next week. Your Storm Watch forecast at 9:33.
I can't believe this is happening.
Shock from an Oklahoma City man after catching a suspect breaking into a car outside his business. Glenn Benedict tells us the alleged suspect, Christopher Rhodes, broke into one car and was unsuccessful with another yesterday. That's when he stepped in and tried to stop the guy. He tracked him down and blocked him near a 7-Eleven.
He started ramming my car. I think he rammed it about 3 times. And then he got out with a bat. So I kind of backed up a little bit.
He says the suspect got out with a bat and tried to leave again. When he stepped out of the truck without his bat, he grabbed him. He held that suspect until police arrived. Now, police say if you do try to detain a suspect, do so in a safe manner. They say this situation became unsafe quickly. Well, coming up, a possible tequila shortage, what farmers are now doing as a result.
And if you think that you just don't have room for a storm shelter, think again. We've got your back with how you could fit one right in your bedroom.
We're in the middle of cold and flu season, and we've got your back with